Hi, I'm James McGuire here at the RSA conference with Kevin Weiss, Chief Executive Officer of Sectigo. Kevin, thanks for talking with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, James.
So I want to talk about Lifecycle certificate management, but first, please tell us a bit about Sectigo. What does the company do? How does it serve clients?
Sure. So we're a certificate authority. Sectigo has been in business for about 23 years. We began the business issuing certificates and encrypting, helping customers encrypt traffic between websites and users. That business has grown over the years. So we've moved from a certificate issuance platform to not only issuing 255 million certificates last year, but we moved into the certificate lifecycle management space, where we help people automate not only our certificates, but also other certificates that are issued in the marketplace, not only on the public side, but also on the private side.
So this really is SSL technology for websites. So it's more than just that. It's also for the servers and for the workloads.
It is. It's absolutely for that. And so when you think about servers and hardware and machines that are out there, there's probably 10 times as many machines as there are people.
Sure.
And then when you think about workloads, it's infinitely greater than the number of machines. And so the proliferation of certificates and the need to encrypt traffic and transactions inside the firewall as well as from outside the firewall into servers has gone up exponentially over the last 5 years. It's really exploded.
Sure. All right, so key trends in certificate lifecycle management. What's moving the sector these days?
Well, the certificate lifecycle management business has been around for probably 10 years. All right? There were some early players that got involved, and it really started in the largest enterprises who had the most sophisticated environments. Right. And so as certificates started to proliferate, more and more people, as you came down the stack, right, from the largest companies all the way down to the mid-tier and even smaller companies, started to see the need to really manage this. So a lot of the biggest management platform for certificates is Excel spreadsheets.
Right? Good old Excel.
Good old Excel still works very, very well. And so, but as you get more and more certificates, and as people change jobs or somebody leaves the business and goes somewhere else, the ability to access the spreadsheet and know when a certificate is going to expire becomes a real challenge. We see this every day. Last year, for example, Starlink went offline. And it was offline for maybe 4 hours. And the next day, Elon tweeted that, apologies, we had an expired certificate, we'll do better, right?
Okay.
So expired certificates can be very, very problematic for making your services available. Certificates that are left out there in an environment and aren't focused on, and if a bad actor gets a hold of it and then begins to be able to compromise your environment, that's a problem as well. So the need to be able to know where all of your certificates are in an environment, both on the public side, public-facing side, but also inside the firewall, is critical, and that's what really is driving the need for this automation. How do I keep track of what's happening? And the shortening of life cycle spans on the public side to 90 days.
Right. Is that happening now, or is that happening in the future, the 90-day figure?
It's happening in the future. So Google announced just about a year ago that their way forward was to go to 90 days. Okay. And they also announced in December with Let's Encrypt that they really wanted to go to 10 days. So if you think about the amount of work that places on a technology environment, it's as much as 40 to 50 times more workload. You really need to think about automation when you do that.
Right.
And that's a big driver in more and more people looking at it. And even in the smaller companies, if you think about it, if you've got a small shop with 10 certificates and you've got some guy that's doing security and he's doing application development and he's doing a lot of things, if all of a sudden now you've got to swap certificates in your environment for every 10 days, you really need an automated solution in the certificate lifecycle management.
Humans can't be doing all this, it's just too much work.
It's too much work, and there's more valuable things that they can do. Right?
So let's talk about the Sectigo product offering. What are the key features there?
Well, what we do is, first of all, we help customers understand what certificates are in their environment. So discovery is the first element of being able to get a full complement of what's happening in your environment. And it's interesting, even smaller companies don't know how many certificates.
Oh, they really don't
have.
even know what they have.
They don't know what they have, and
Okay.
depending on the development, application developers will grab certificates to be able to make sure that their code is secured. And so the first thing is to be able to do discovery and really understand what's out there. And in the process of discovery, you understand what certificates you have, what applications they're a part of, and then you load them into your database, and then you begin to determine the timeframes in which you want to renew those certificates. There are times when you have to revoke certificates because either you've been compromised or the CA has done something that doesn't quite comply with the browser forum requirements.
Okay.
And so then you've got to go out and revoke them. And so that you've got to do those quickly, right? You got roughly 75 hours to be able to fully revoke those. Oh,
okay.
And so you have to have a way to do that. So we do that. We also do compliance. We help you with policy. And so that's the gist of what we try to do in the CLM space, and a lot of the CLM players do that as well. Now, it's far more technical when you get into environments, particularly in the private world. When you're working with, integration with ServiceNow, for example, or integration with other hardware vendors, CyberArk or F5 load balancers, and so there's a lot of integration that takes place in this as well.
I'm sure. Well, the future, I think, is the big question. Companies want to be able to get ready for that. I mean, what do you see when you look to the near to midterm future of CLM? I mean, will it ever get easier, or is it getting harder all the time?
It depends on how sophisticated you want to be. I tend to say we're a certificate authority and we have a CLM solution.
Okay.
And there are other players in the market that will take you all the way to the moon and back on technology. What I like to say is, perfection is the enemy of good enough.
Sure.
And so what we're trying to do is to tackle 80 to 90% of what most enterprises need, and then help them fill in the gaps later on. And so I think for us, the real goal is for us to continue to make it available. We just announced a product recently for the small end of the market, which is what we call SCM Pro.
Okay.
And it's a certificate lifecycle management solution for small businesses. And basically, we automate the entire life cycle of that certificate. Once you sign up for the service, we'll manage it forever for you.
It's handled, okay.
It's handled,
It's like
right?
CLM as a service.
Correct. And we'll drive that back up the stack, and so we're in the process of doing that as well, and you'll start to see us do that for our large partners like Newfold or Ionos or any of the others that we got 620 partners around the globe, online partners around the globe that utilize our technology, and we'll make that available to them as well. And then ultimately that'll be a complement with our enterprise grade CLM solution.
You mentioned that you did, I think, 250 million certificates last year?
Yes.
I'm just curious, I wonder when you'll hit $1 billion. Is it growing at that kind of level? Can you even foresee that number, or is that like way in the future?
Well, you can foresee it happening in the future when we go to 90 days. So you can take the 250 and multiply it by 4 to 5.
Right.
So, at that point, you're issuing certificates, your certificate issuance platform is pushing out certificates all the time.
Right, churning them out.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And so it'll hit there. When you add the number of private certificates that are issued, though, you're talking about billions of certificates that are issued. It's just the root is inside the organization as opposed to our root for certificate issuance.
Interesting. Kevin, I think you said it. A lot of interesting stuff. Thank you for sharing your expertise today.
It's my pleasure. Good to talk to you.